What's up, Facebook? So I don't know where you're tuning in from, but it has been so cold here in Texas, and I hope y'all are staying warm. Welcome back to this Ask the Vet Facebook Live hosted by Spay Neuter Network. If you haven't already, make sure to like Spay Neuter Network's Facebook page, and I'm the vet, Dr. Bowden. I do have to show y'all for Valentine's Day. I put on my pink cat sweater. um, and so, and that's actually what we're talking about tonight. And I also want y'all to engage, ask me any animal medical related questions that you have in the comments. And so we talked about it last month and we're talking about it again. Fix your animals. This is Spay Neuter Network after all. So let's beat the heat. What does that mean? It means we're trying to get ahead of kitten season by spaying our cats now. And so, a couple questions we got ahead of time are at what age can a kitten go into heat and get pregnant? And usually that's about 8 to 9 months. It can happen earlier, like 4 months, although that's pretty rare. And it can happen later, like 2 years. But again, that's pretty rare. 8 to 9 months is really the usual age we see them reach puberty. So I always recommend getting your cats spayed and neutered at 6 months old. And so another question we got, and I would be bothered by this as well, is will neutering a male cat help with spraying in the house? And does the smell of strong urine go away after a neuter? Yes, it does. If you have a mature male cat who's marking his territory, it might take some time, but it definitely gets better after you get him neutered. Um, he'll no longer feel the need to like mark his territory, and so that strong smell should dissipate. I can't hang with the stinky tomcat smell. So every year I mention in passing to people, I think that's kind of weird, but I talk to people about kitten season. I'm like, oh, we're in kitten season now, and people are always surprised that there's a season for it. It sounds like a holiday. It's not quite a holiday. It's a very long part of the year, especially in Texas. Where there's warmer weather, we see an influx of kittens in March through the fall. And so it seems like this time is expanding every year. Like cats are going into heat sooner. They're long day breeders, so as the days start getting longer, that's when they start going into heat. And so if you've ever been around a female cat that's in heat, you know she's very persistent, that she really wants to be bred. And so they'll do anything they can to accomplish this. They'll try to get out of the house. They will meow very loudly and rub their butt on you. It's pretty gross. So if you want to prevent pregnancy and prevent these very persistent behaviors, the only surefire way is getting her spayed. So I am going to check over here for questions. Hi, Jim. I'm glad you tuned in. Jim says, I have a male, almost 3-year-old Shih Tzu, and I'm getting one of his babies soon. I'm getting his son. My question is, do I need to neuter my dog before I bring in the new puppy home? So I would recommend neutering both of your males. I mean, I know his baby is going to be too young, and waiting till 6 months is ideal for him, for the baby. But to decrease intermale aggression, I think it's best to get both of them neutered, just because even if only one is, the other one still can put off those hormones, that testosterone. So, great question. Thanks for asking, Jim. So about spaying and neutering, it's removing the reproductive organs of our animals. And so spaying removes a female animal's reproductive organs. And one question we hear a lot is, when should we have our animals spayed and neutered? And generally, I recommend waiting till that 6-month-old mark. If you've adopted an animal younger than this, they might already be spayed and neutered, just because the shelter likes to get them fixed before they get them out the door. And shelters and high volume entities are set up to be able to spay and neuter these young animals, which is great. Then you don't have to worry about it. So every year, our shelters are overrun with kittens during every kitten season. I know Dallas Animal Services opens a kitten nursery every year through this season, and they get volunteers, and they have to get a lot more fosters because they see such an overwhelming kitten population. And so I want everyone to know, if you take only one thing away from this entire episode of Ask the Vet, it is, if you find stray kittens, leave them where you found them. I know it's really hard because it seems like, oh, these little babies, like, where's their mother? And she's probably off hunting, or she's scared of you, a human, and she ran to hide. So if you are worried that they've been abandoned, you can like sprinkle flour all around them, like in a circle, not on the kittens, but around them, and go back later and check for mom's paw prints in that area. And then you can see if she has been coming and going. But kittens just do so much better when they're left with their mom. And if you're concerned that she's abandoned them, or if they're sick or critically ill, then you can look for help with a litter with a local animal shelter. And this can be done by volunteering to foster that litter that you found. And usually you can do that through your local animal shelter or another rescue organization. So reach out to your city's animal shelter. In Dallas, that can be done by calling 311. And seriously, you, Facebook viewer, you would make a great foster for these kittens. There's just so many cats that kittens that end up needing help, and needing to be bottle fed. And so any help is greatly appreciated. So I'm going to come over here and check our questions again. Hi, Myra. Myra says, I have 2 black cats that when it gets cold, it looks like they have a hard time breathing. Once the cold is gone, the snoring breathing goes away. What can I do? So I think it depends if you're in, if they're indoor or outdoor. If they're indoor, you can provide a humidifier to try and help them to be able to breathe easier. That might just help open up their airways a little more because it gets so dry when the heat's on all the time. And if they're outside, I recommend providing lots of bedding, lots of blankets for them to snuggle up in as much as possible. Refill their food and water, their water even twice a day, just making sure it's not frozen over. Thank you for the question, Myra. And then Vern says that she's been trying to make an appointment. Oh, okay. I cannot answer your question, Vern, but one of our Facebook management can help you with getting your appointment. So, oh, you're welcome, Jim. I was happy to answer your question. So Marcia says, does waiting to neuter male cats until later help to prevent urinary blockages? I don't think there's any evidence that that's true. I've at least never heard that. And urinary blockages are a big deal. You do not want your male cat to, or any animal, to get a urinary blockage. Thank you for your question, Marcia. Angela says, feral cats have adopted me. Yeah, she says, yes, I feed them. I couldn't stand to watch them go hungry. I can't get anywhere near them to take them to be spayed and neutered. So you bring up a great point, Angela. Depending on where you're at, a lot of rescue organizations offer, will loan you traps to be able to trap those cats and bring them in. And so what that would look like, and they could go over it more with you, but you can put food in there and, entice them to go in there. And then when they're trapped, you can take them in to your spaying and neutering facility. Okay, and then we have Bonnie asking, are smokers in households bad for pets? And Bonnie, that's a good question. In the same way that we can get secondhand smoke, our animals can as well. It can affect them there's not as many studies about it as in humans, but it's still something that we've seen where they can get emphysema or have more respiratory related problems. Um, oh, and then Angela says thank you, and Myra also said thank you. Um, yeah, so y'all keep asking questions if you have any. And I'm gonna keep going, just talking about kittens. I'm really passionate about this. So, once kittens come into the shelter, there is a higher likelihood of kittens catching illnesses due to the high volume that's seen in the shelter. And our shelters do work so hard to bottle feed all these kittens, and it can be really difficult to keep up with all of them. So, many shelters utilize foster parents to care for all the kittens that they're seeing during kitten season. And again, you would make a great foster parent. So please contact your local animal shelter if you're not already a kitten foster parent and let them know you're interested in this. Even if you don't know very much about kittens, shelters can go with you through the information. At Dallas Animal Services, I know they teach you how to take care of kittens, and there's a Facebook page and everything. So, and I just want to repeat it again. If you find stray kittens, leave them where you found them. And if you're concerned about them, there's so many resources online that can walk you through what you should do. But I need to say that over and over because it's like healthy kittens come to the shelter all the time and they would have been better with their mom. So, okay. Uh, oh yeah, and then Marcia also said that you can use traps to get your feral cats. And so, yeah, thanks for that advice, Marcia. Okay, so all of that to say, I would love for everybody here to spay and neuter all of their animals. If if we spay and neuter now, we're not going to have those unwanted litters. We're not going to have to worry that we're bringing more animals into this world when this world is already pretty overloaded with animals. I have heard people say that they want to experience the beauty of watching an animal give birth, and really, that's not that's not about learning the magic of conception and birth. Animals aren't for that, pets aren't for that. And so you can find another way to talk to your children about that. But if you end up doing this, you'll have a litter. You have to find homes for them. If you decide to take that litter to the animal shelter, then the shelter, which is probably already full, you're putting a strain on it. And taking them to the shelter, unfortunately, doesn't guarantee them a home. So, I remember last month I was like very direct, and so I'm being very direct again, because I want to help as many animals as possible. Um, Bonnie says, I have heard two kittens are better than one. Why? I think I think it's good for them to have a playmate, but also, I mean, double the fun, right? Having two kittens is great. I do think if they grow up together, they're likely to be a bonded pair and get along better with each other and like always have a friend around. So, but I mean, the more the merrier, right? I think four kittens is better than two. Well, I'm about to wrap up for the night. I'm gonna leave this open just for a few more seconds to see if we have any more questions. Um, so, one question, just in case you weren't here when I said it, but the question we get the most when it comes to spaying and neutering is what age should they be spayed or neutered? And I've said it before, so if you've been tuned in the whole time, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but I always recommend 6 months of age for any animal. It's easy to remember, and it's before they start expressing those undesirable behaviors that are associated with being intact. And so I, oh, Angela. Angela says I'm very wise for being so young, and I appreciate that, Angela. I don't feel very young anymore. I have two children under two, and they keep me on my toes a lot of days. So, but thank you. Yeah, I'm glad y'all tuned in. And yeah, we'll have this again next month. It'll be on March 1st. And so if you have any pressing animal questions, tune in then and we can get them answered for you. Um, Otherwise, stay warm, stay safe out there in all that ice, and we'll see you next month. Okay, bye.